Welcome back to the LCS, where we're gearing up for the third game of the day. TSM and Cloud9 have each been on a tear lately, and they're building up to a clash here today, but these teams feel even more evenly matched than they have in quite some time.
I'm pretty sure the last time that they were this close and this high in the standings was all the way back in spring 2017. So it's been about 2 years since they were battling it out at the top of the table, which makes this feel kind of like a return to the old LCS narrative in a lot of ways, because for so long it was TSM or C9 were going to win.
Yeah. Right, and C9's coming off a 7-game win streak, and TSM has a 5-game win streak, so someone's win streak is going to lose today, and I'm really hoping that C9's win streak ends today, because I voted for TSM, and I have a personal opinion or a bias towards C9, but I feel like TSM is going to win this game, because I'm watching them, and they know what they're doing to try and get better, and they've improved on their Baron game, they've improved on their late game, and I have pretty good confidence in them coming into this game.
Pulling for your weekly wager, you are there. But of course, we did put a spotlight on that mid lane matchup between Nisqy and Bjergsen. Again, of old, you're thinking Jensen, Bjergsen. That's always been the talk of the LCS for the past couple of years, stemming all the way back to that 2017 matchup that you speak of. But now we've got Nisqy, who's got to fill Jensen's shoes. And to this point in the split, he's been doing that quite impressively. But how does he stack up against Bjergsen, the king of mid laners?
I mean, Nisqy's been doing really well, but his laning stats aren't as impressive. But as we were saying at the top of the day, these guys are the number 1 and number 2 in kills and assists at 15 minutes, and a lot of them are not coming from laning phase. So I think that, you know, maybe Bjergsen's a little bit better in lane, but won't be the influential part of the matchup. It'll be about them getting out of lane and influencing top side or influencing bot lane.
Right, I mean, it depends on what stat you're looking at, right? A lot of them have good stats in some areas, the others have bad stats in other areas. But for Nisqy, I believe that he's going to do really well. It's his first split here since being back on Envious, and he's doing really well. He plays a lot of different champions. His Aatrox had a lot of mastery on that. His Zoe is really great, and it's going to be very interesting to see if your first pick of Bjergsen being number 1 on your power ranking will come into fruition here.
That would be interesting to see. I think it's going to be a story of which of the new acquisitions for both these teams does a better job, because Licorice is kind of the best top laner in NA. Broken Blade has been on and off, had a bit of a rough game yesterday.
Right.
And then, of course, Nisqy versus Bjergsen, as we were already highlighting, if he can hold up to Bjergsen when TSM is gelling, because they were not really playing that well the first time they matched up.
Right, it is a mid lane focused day, but I think you hit the nail on the head when you talk about maybe the lopsidedness of the matchup in the top lane. Licorice being considered by many the best top laner in the league. Broken Blade, by no means a dud, but definitely not challenging for that top spot just yet in his rookie split here in North America.
Right, and yesterday we saw that Blabber came in for C9, and today they brought back in Svenskeren. And I'm curious as to why they chose Svenskeren over Blabber, but maybe it's the possibility of the whole, he used to be on TSM, he knows how they play, he knows how to counter Bjergsen or something like that.
Bjergsen's
yeah,
head. He's like, I used to be a ward for you, but now I'm going to kill you.
I know where you don't have vision, because I was that vision before.
I think it's probably more just that Svenskeren is a little bit better for the team.
Fair enough.
They were playing Golden Guardians yesterday, get, you know, Blabber his warm-up game. But here, for the big deal, fighting for second place, you want your top guy back.
Can always count on Mark to bring us back down to earth. Let's not forget that the first time these teams played, it was an explosive match with the first Sylas of the LCS, which had more than its fair share of highlight plays.
They get another steal. They've got, I think it's Lissandra ult. Can he get in to find someone? Can he get the CC? Looking for someone. They've got the first pick. But Aphonius buys some time. Nisqy in the backline finds one. C9 get a second.
Where's your stack? Where's your stack? Okay, play so. I'm a little chocolate. FG. Good stack.
Yeah, we should win.
We win.
Science stack here.
We win, guys. We win. Just play slow, okay?
What's your little team?
Yep.
Look.
I still go. Go.
Science,
Yeah, good shit.
Woo! Not yet. Okay, nice.
Nice.
We won.
Those
Zonia
timings.
Nice.
C9 have 3 alive. They will knock down the base, and Cloud9 will tie for second, taking down TSM.
Oh, this is going to be a good game. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am Clayton Captain Flowers Reigns, casting alongside my rap sparring partner. It is Sam, Kobe, Hartman, Kinsler.
I'm ready for the beat then.
Let's do it. We are going to definitely have some moments that are worthy of it here in this game. TSM versus Cloud9. It's a historic matchup. It's one you're always excited to see the next chapter for, and I could not be more excited to see it today.
Exactly. Right now, Cloud9 and TSM are the two ones fighting to be next in line behind Team Liquid and try and topple them from that throne. take that #1 spot. These teams have so much history. They have the banners hanging still in the studio here, and let's get into it.
Let's waste no more time. Into Champion Select, and TSM has some bad memories from the last time they played against Silas. They want to make sure they're not doing that here again today. Immediately ban that new champion out, as Irelia and Thresh will be removed from the pool by Cloud9.
I think Cloud9 have shown to be the most versatile team, and both of their solo laners have performed very well on the Silas. So this is one of those teams that not only plays the new champions well, but plays them in multiple roles, so it threatens them as a flex pick as well.
The power of the flex in Season 9. We've seen it time and time again, as Ezreal's going to be banned away. Cloud9 getting rid of that champion that's kind of... Ezreal's always had this identity, Kobe, as the everything champ. When he first came out, he literally did everything in the game, back when his W had a heal. And these days, he's the early game poke, burst, scaling, damage, skirmish, marksman carry. So, yeah, you want to make sure you keep all those words out of the pool, as the Lucian also banned out now by TSM.
All right, the first pick, Cassiopeia, we did see earlier. Clutch demonstrating, very flexible pick as well. Can be rotated to either the bottom lane or up to the top side for Licorice. That would definitely be a new look for them, though. Expect them to have it either be Nisqy or Sneaky piloting that one. Previously, Sneaky has already had a Cassiopeia game himself. That would not be too surprising, but TSM do lock in the Varus and Tahm Kench. We've seen Varus really come back, especially when, you know, the Ezreal and the Lucian are banned.
Yeah.
A lot due to how well the early lane phase can go with Varus and the flexibility. You can go with the poke, you know, lethality Varus build or the on-hit build. Both are very viable depending on the rest of the team comp you round it out with.
And I'm not surprised to see Smoothie on Tahm Kench either. We've seen some fantastic games out of him so far this split, making big saves on champions that have the ability to get his allies out of trouble. And there's really no more iconic ability than that for that than the Devour, making sure that you completely drop aggro on your ally, getting him to safety, and Cloud9 will respond by picking up the Galio and the Kindred.
Yeah, they played the Kindred previously versus FlyQuest as well, and were able to pull it out. It's definitely very strong for team fighting, for protecting the back line, as is Galio. So Cloud9 already have locked in Cassiopeia, super high scaling DPS backline, and now they've got some protection to go with it. They still need a point man on the front line to really take those hits. But currently, TSM are really threatening the poke combination. We mentioned when Varus was locked in, you can go either build. If you have a Zoe with it, then it does make sense to go the lethality build with the Varus, because your arrows will be very threatening unless they build armor, and then Zoe Paddlestar will be very threatening unless they build magic resistance. And they can't build both because you won't have enough money early.
You also can't build as much of either when your jungler is not a tank. Generally, we see junglers be part of that front line for a team if they are going to build up a big wall of bodies to protect the carries. But when your jungler is a carry itself, like the Kindred, it means less stacking of those resistances and more effect for the lethality.
Plus, one thing to look out for when you're building a poke composition, like it seems TSM are doing right now, is you want to watch out for the hard engage. And Kindred is not a hard engage jungler either. It's much more a backline jungler, much more defensive jungler, more like counter engage. And the Zoe and Varus won't be as worried about that. They want to siege up, just throw out their long-range skill shot damage, land them ahead of time, then go for the kills.
Really like the first ban coming out in the second part of the ban phase here for TSM. They're getting rid of the Zillion. They know that Cloud9 last year played this obnoxious composition with Zillion and Kindred where you just can't kill anyone. They see the first half of that. They remove the second half, also taking the Ornn out of the picture as Cloud9 decides to remove that Riven, which years in the past, Riven was always seen as a solo queue champion. Oh, it'll never make it in professional play. That's just for montages. Put some wub behind it and kill some noobs. But these days, you're seeing a lot of Riven played in the LCS. We're not going to see that here, nor the Jax.
Yeah, all around the world, Riven has made her breakthrough into the competitive scene. Her solo queue win rate has also spiked. So in general, super strong champion, especially with the Conqueror. But now we're going to get down to the counter to Kindred. Gragas has always been one of the ones that has options, right? If you do get behind early, it can be super annoying to be versus a Kindred, but the displacement on your ultimate, it can be used very effectively if your timing is good and if your coordination with your team is good. You can basically wipe the Kindred ultimate of the enemy players as they're about to die, as the heal comes in, try and kill them, knock them off of it. Plus, having Gragas as the body slam flash option for a hard engage can even be good early versus Kindred, because if you hard engage on the Kindred early on with any sort of laners around, you can easily kill her. Then you start to deny her marks, and you want to try and play that early game, take control of it to start denying her stacking and scaling.
And it looks like we will probably see Sneaky on the Cassiopeia again this game as Cloud9 locks in 2 powerful solo laners with the Victor and the Aatrox.
Oh!
And TSM has decided it's time for Nico.
Oh my goodness, we get to see some Nico here. Copy and camouflage. I have been waiting for a professional game with Nico to be able to cast this, because there are so many mind games that we thought up when we saw this champion release, and we're thinking of all the information denial and the espionage that you can try and pull off with her. But we haven't gotten a chance to really get a good look. I mean, if she shows up as Zoe or something coming around the corner as well, people are gonna have to start dodging like their bubbles coming.
You gotta be careful.
Definitely going to be an interesting combo here. I also think that she can follow up or set up Poke pretty well with her root. We'll have to see. Very curious if they do any switches here, because currently it looks like it is going to go top lane into the Aatrox.
Could be a super interesting matchup. Also a champion, like, we really have not seen much of this. We got to see some of it at All-Stars at the end of last year.
Yeah.
All-Stars, a much more for-fun event where teams aren't playing as seriously or as competitively, so it's not even that good of a preview of what it does. But now, TSM is not only breaking this out, they're breaking this out, as we mentioned earlier, in the battle for second place against one of their most historic rivals in what should be a very close matchup. So that, to me, says they've got faith that this isn't just some sort of a cheese pick that you take somebody by surprise with. This is a pick that's really got some potential.
Yeah, I'm super excited to witness the wrath of Nico plus Zoe. 2 of the possibly most difficult champions to keep track of in the game.
Well, that's our challenge this game. We're going to have to keep track of which one's which, but Cloud9 will here as well. Especially looking forward to how that camouflage works out, if she can get some of those bamboozles off. We're on to the rift now. Cloud9 versus TSM, the battle for second place. Cloud9 currently sitting at a 9-2 record. Very, very nice here for them. TSM 7-4, trying to catch up as quickly as possible. Nobody wants to do anything crazy here at level 1, except for the fact that TSM might be thinking about maybe a little bit of a late invade here. Grab some vision down. Smoothie walks up, but Zazel's just hitting him with a couple of emotes, waiting for him to step forward, but not much.
All right, so we've been reeling from the last pick, Nico here coming in from TSM, but it actually does quite a few things to the composition. Now we'll notice that it is not only a double AP solo lane setup from TSM, but since Acadian is on Gragas, even the jungler is AP. So the entire top half of the map is pure magic damage threat. We would definitely recommend for Licorice, Niski, and even Sven Skaren getting early no magic mantles, exactly, into magic resistance. Because they're going to get so much value out of any sort of fight early on with that type of resistance. It's only later when what I assume has to be a lethality Varus build here,
right,
coming from Sven, comes in later, and that will open up the extra damage side.
And talking about stacking the magic resistance, going back to what you said earlier, you got to build one or the other, and if you're so heavily incentivized to stack MR, Sven's job just becomes that much more desirable if he's going for the lethality, because you know the armor will not be there.
It also makes lane assignments in the mid game very interesting, because if TSM switch up lanes as Niski gets attacked.
Oh, here comes your flash gank. Level 2 from Acadian. He gets the flash out of Niski and sets himself up to come back in the next 5 minutes.
And the mark for Kindred actually spawned on the top side, so Acadian walking bottom there. Oh, they see the Kindred on the ward as well. I wonder if he's actually just going to go for the Scuttle Crab Secure first.
Looks to be that way.
Both sitting on vision.
I mean, Cloud9 is aware that Acadian is taking the crab down there, but what are you going to do? Niski's pretty much stuck underneath this turret. He's got a large minion wave there, but Svenskeren will go now to contest the mark.
And one thing about the Gragas Kindred matchup, if you know that Gragas doesn't have the flash for his body slam, it makes Kindred much, much more confident in going to contest any sort of marks or objectives, because that's the surprise factor. That is the hard engage that really does give Gragas the edge. The other thing, of course, is mid lane priority, or any solo lane for that matter. This is one thing that TSM as a team have done very well in 2019, is push up heavily with their solo laners to try and get aggressive positioning to help out Acadian as the jungle, and has really changed the face of what this team looks like and what they're known for.
And because Cloud9 recognizes the fact that TSM has that mid lane priority, they have the priority top side there as well, and Acadian's off to a good enough start for himself. Sven, although he pathed towards that top side, opted away from the mark, doesn't want anything to do with that, doesn't want to put his solo laners in a position where they have to come try to help with that fight that they can't even guarantee will go their way. Instead, just opts to clear through the jungle, get himself off to a decent clear, and make it so that his solo lanes can farm up and be effective as they scale through the laning phase. Acadian, once again, going to be looking for the mid lane here. Bjergsen in the free redemption, firing out the Sleepy Trouble bubble. Both junglers hanging around. Niski nearly out of mana, so I don't think Sven wants to force anything too crazy right here. Base checking that Gragas. Acadian gets a little bit of damage down, but now Sven will return the favor. Not quite getting the third auto attack, so trade goes in favor of the Gragas.
Yeah, both these teams are falling in line with our theme of mid-lane Monday on Sunday that we've decided for this weekend, with both junglers constantly hovering around this mid lane to make sure that their mid laner is the one that is going to be able to affect the rest of the map. Our stats team was doing some digging coming into the weekend as well, and it was super interesting to hear that Niski and Bjergsen were the ones with the highest kills plus assists at 15 minutes for any mid laners in the entire league. And for both of those guys, the majority of their kills did not come in the mid lane. The majority of their kills came from roaming around and helping out the rest of the team.
Well, if somebody's going to need help, it looks like Licorice is not having a super fun time in the top side right now. That ranged top laner, often very difficult to deal with for a traditional melee option, and Broken Blade is making Licorice's life a hell underneath this turret, constantly hitting him with the harass from the auto attacks. Remember, for those of you who aren't super familiar with how Neeko works, because honestly we haven't seen much of her, this is her first time being played in the LCS, every third auto attack does have that enchant on it that does extra damage and makes it very easy to harass your opponent along with the power of the spells. Oh, very nice interrupt there on the back from Licorice at the last second, finding plenty of damage down on a Broken Blade and forcing out the flash.
Oh, big cheers from the crowd as they see Licorice get a little bit of revenge there. But you're right, he's down 10 CS. He uses his teleport first and is able to push the lane back a little bit here. One of the other things with Neeko, one of the recent changes was they added a little bit more to her utility. Her clone increased to 3 seconds from 2 seconds, and the speed duration as well. But currently, Sven, he walks away from the Infernal Drake as he sees the roam down from, again, the mid laner, Bjergsen. He's able to get mid lane control on Zoe by pushing the minion wave in. That's what we were always talking about when we talk about mid lane control, by the way. You either push the wave in or get kill threat on the other mid laner, and he's able to force the enemy jungler off of objectives like that Infernal Dragon that was about to go over to Cloud9.
And I like how Sven bailed early there, even though he just saw Bjergsen leave the lane. The Drake was still at enough HP where it wouldn't be easy for TSM to just swoop in and smite it, steal that one away, TY for Leash in the all chat. So he wanted to make sure they didn't end up falling behind in that way. Just goes back to farming up his own jungle, still very close on farm when you compare him to Acadian, but it's TSM who's found themselves CS leads in both solo lanes so far, while the bottom lane is pretty much breaking even.
The difference about the bottom lane in gold is build paths, right? The Cassiopeia going for the tier so he can spam out, and Sneaky constantly spamming his spells on the minion wave here. He wants to push the minion wave as quickly as possible in here because he doesn't want to be on the receiving end of the early lethality. You can spike pretty early there on Varus. He's already got the 3 levels in poke and his access to his serrated dirk, so if those land true through minions, through the champions as well, then you can start to try and whittle down on the health pools, and then you have to worry about flash Gragas plays.
Broken Blade getting some good positioning here for firing off those Tangle Barbs. Remember, the route that you get out of your E on Neeko is more effective the more enemies it passes through. So setting himself up to make sure that there's the maximum number of minions between himself and Licorice allows him to get plenty of damage with that Q, with that blooming burst as it hits multiple iterations of the proc. Licorice will continue just to farm up here, but there you go. Exactly, that's what you're looking for. The stun into the follow-up damage from Broken Blade. And remember, Neeko has some bonkers AP ratios, especially on the ultimate. So if he continues farming up like this, you are going to see some big red chunks out of health bars come to you.
Mid lane once again, Svenskar going in onto Bjergsen.
Bjergsen getting himself out of that one, trying to escape from the damage here. Still plenty coming out. He loses about 2/3 of the HP, but it's Acadian going into the top side. Broken Blade looking to find that Pop Blossom. Won't get it just yet. World Ender from Licorice to try to keep himself safe. is going to be taken very low here, and the call from TSM is to just let the Bloodwell run out. Don't let him get the heal and send Licorice home.
Yeah, and Acadian actually stuck around a little bit. I think he was going to chase him down. They actually let Licorice get away, and because he shows top, the Dragon will be started up by Kindred, you can see on the mini-map. But this is a lot of plate money for Broken Blade. Not only has he been able to get this big CS lead, you know, aggressively using the Q as well as the auto attacks, but so many plates picked up by him in isolation that is going to be a very fed Nico.
Now, Kobe, I love Infernal Drakes because I love stuff that makes me do more damage in League of Legends. And when you have a team where everybody's going to be wanting to do more damage with an Aatrox top, when you have a Kindred in the jungle, as well as both your carries in mid and bottom, that Infernal will pay huge dividends for Cloud9 as we get later into the game.
Definitely true. A little bit of extra insurance policy for later on.
Yes,
because
sir.
Right now, TSM are working with straight gold. You get gold off the turrets. They've got gold through the CS that they're winning in both solo lanes. It's just you went over, and that gold is going to manifest very quickly into items. So it's going to have to be C9 trying to weather this storm of the early lead that TSM have been able to accrue.
Broken Blade back into the top side now with the Proto Belt fully completed. Proto Belt champions have a natural advantage in the laning phase, and that the item itself only costs about 2,500 gold from start to finish, so you hit that first item power spike much more quickly than many other champions will. You can see Licorice just building up the Kindle Gem, has a couple more long swords in the inventory there that he'll be trading with. But when you keep taking free damage like that, it makes trades hard.
Yeah, it'll bloom 3 times. Oh, goes in.
Forcing out the flash. Licorice realizing he doesn't have World Ender, and Broken Blade saw the same thing, which is why he went for that. Just for clarity's sake, if he manages to hit that, if Broken Blade lands the Pop Blossom, that's 350 damage simply from the ultimate. Not to mention the fact that you're already stunned up, he can throw out the Q, then immediately root you again, get all 3 pops on the Q, you're dead.
Here we go, though. We might have a 2v2 in the top lane, and no ultimate for Nico right now. Could be the difference. Let's see if they make the Gragas transition up there in time.
Here comes the damage going out onto Broken Blade, who's trying to get himself away from the chains, has to try and flash it out, is going to survive the burn for now, and ever so barely. Broken Blade will walk away. TSM coming in now for the counterattack. Looking to find the cast, knock him back. Won't be able to do it just yet. TSM 3v2, but the World Ender is going to keep Licorice alive. He goes into Resurrection, up to about 500 HP by the time he respawns. Lancer's Light comes through, and this is the Cloud9 special, but it will not matter, and Bjergsen grabs first blood.
TSM saying, we'll have one special, please. First blood on Licorice, and they're able to get the kill in the end, despite the whipped ultimate. On the bottom side, though, that is the sound of plates cracking. Captain Flowers and Wiki and Zazel are able to cash in. Whoa, big damage, though.
We are seeing all sorts of plates going down this game. Bottom side, Sneaky and Zazel cashing in on that money, but the top lane, Tier 1, still under continuous fire from TSM. Bjergsen trying to bring this one down, get the complete first turret bonus. We'll need a few more auto attacks on that. Each auto only hitting for, well, a very small amount, but one more will do it. And there you go, turret first blood over to the side of TSM.
And this is a very big gold lead for this early in the game. As you mentioned, though, remember, Cloud9 still have the Infernal Drake, as well as getting some plates on the bottom side. Here's how it started out. Svenskeren and Licorice go in. They're able to land the chains. Broken Blade is able to get out with his extra speed. One more auto would have been able to finish him off, but he's able to sneak away with his life. And then Katie comes in. He does not land the ultimate there out of his body slam, throws it a little bit too far. This does allow Aatrox to crawl a little bit ways back, which is into turret range inside the edge of the Kindred ultimate. So nice usage there from Svenskeren, but Bjergsen is not having any of that. Zoe ready to go in with the burst damage. He's able to thread it right around the side there. Very nice. Nicely done by Bjergsen.
And as we continue to watch the teams chip away at the plates here, a quick reminder, tickets for the LCS Spring Finals in St. Louis will be available on March 5th, only a couple days away, so make sure you pick up your set so you can see which team will be crowned LCS champion. Should be an awesome showdown here at the end of Spring Split, but we still got a few more weeks to play with plenty more games like this one until we see who makes it to that summit.
And both of these teams have their eyes on that championship. They want a return. They want to get a fresh banner up here in the LCS studios.
I mean, when you're looking at the banners here, TSM and Cloud9, there are very few emblems that have ever been able to grace the LCS Battle Arena here, but TSM and Cloud9 are two of the squads that have pulled it off before. It's been quite a while for Cloud9 before they've been able, since they've been able, I should say, to put the Cloud9 colors up there. They'd love to repeat that again, but they've got to get past TSM first here. Still 2,000 gold behind their opponents. Zazel going in, but there's Smoothie doing what Smoothie does.
Smoothie able to use the Devour very nicely there. He stays out of danger himself, doesn't get taunted in, and is able to save Ben. On that bottom side, the Ghost Blade has been completed, along with the...
Please only build one.
Fair enough. He does get the second serrated Durkin as well for a very big power spike. Now he's got 30 lethality, ready to fire off. And this is where they want to bring their two damage types together. Currently, Broken Blade, though, is just doing so much work on his own in the side lane, bringing out this Nico pick. I have to say, especially for one of the newer guys in the league coming over from the TCL, he has been exceptional as far as the pickups that a lot of the teams made in the offseason. He lands another root and another 2 Blossoms.
And I think the historical context here, when you look at who this is being done to with the Nico pick, is a little bit funny. Because remember, it was Cloud9 versus TSM last year when TSM had Haunter, where Cloud9 and Licorice pull out the Hecarim versus Aatrox, and Licorice just runs him over because he doesn't know how to deal with the pick. And now it's Licorice who's had this off-the-wall pick pulled off against him, and he's the one who's on the back foot with how do I deal with this? So TSM making sure that they get Cloud9 with a dose of their own medicine here on this one. Maybe Azale and Mark will have to figure out some more doctor's notes for that one.
Don't take too much of that medicine. Everything in moderation. Nico heading back out onto the 1v1, it looks like. It looks like TSM are going to keep these same lanes. In order to do that, I think you do need a lot of protection for Nico, because yes, you do have the clone and you can go invisible and it gives you a decent amount of speed, but you can still get caught.
You ain't no Riven.
Exactly. You're not as mobile as something like a Riven. Maybe another thing that kind of emboldened him to go for this pick, the range mage, to try and abuse the 1v1 matchup, is again coming back to the fact that their jungler is not a CC heavy jungler, it's not an engaged jungler, so a little bit less threat of getting jumped on there. And he's really been able to use the advantage of the range and magic damage coming through. Plus now with the Proto Belt, we've seen him both use it to clear waves as well as using it for the extra little bit of mobility.
Zazel wanting to go in on this Ven here, but won't be able to find him. Recognize that Smoothie was away, so he might have actually had a chance to go in there. Ven firing off the Chains of Corruption, see if maybe they can get something back. However, C9 will disengage it. Zazel losing about half his HP.
All right, TSM definitely have control here through the river, but it looks like Cloud9, in bringing down Svenskeren as well, can slip in and take out some of these wards before the spawn of the next Infernal Drake. They do have a scaling advantage to rely on here for C9 if they can weather a lot of this early firepower. You know, they have amazing scaling in almost all of their roles, but the early firepower is landing true, and Bjergsen finds another hit.
That trade looked like it was going to be over early because Bjergsen missed the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. He read it wrong and he went the other way, but then nope. Picks up the Super Soaker, manages to get him with that, tags him with some extra damage on the end, and Zoe has some incredible trading potential even if you miss the skills. Broken Blade wandering out of the enemy jungle now, recognizing he is a bit far forward. This side of the map is very dark for TSM, and he doesn't want to get caught overextended.
Yeah, I would like to see TSM put a little bit more pressure on the mid lane. If they can get this mid tower to fall, that's what opens up the map for them to make use of the Tahm Kench, Abyssal Voyage. You know, these mages are whittling away at their opponents. Then you have the mobility of the Abyssal Voyage to come in and help out those side lanes, make the surprise move on Cloud9 to push this game state forward and not allow Cloud9 more time to scale.
The state of the game is that we're 17 minutes in and we have only seen one kill. That one kill did come out of what was almost a fight that got fizzled out because of anti-deaths, because of the fact that you had the Aatrox ultimate and the Kindred ultimate. And speaking of anti-deaths, I've got to do my usual check-in here. Look at where the stopwatches are on both teams, because since we haven't seen any big fights, it means those cooldowns are still available. It means they will heavily influence the next battle. Broken Blade looking to find the Pop Blossom, not going to get it. The time to channel that one is pretty extreme, and Broken Blade's forced to flash out over the wall to escape Svenskeren's follow-up.
Yeah, that's one of the more interesting changes that happened in Nico as well. They actually reduced the leap duration by 0.15 seconds, but they removed the 40% slow on activating it. So we're seeing here Licorice use his dash really well, or his flash when necessary, to get out of the range of the ultimate. But Broken Blade, all in all, definitely still the advantage there in the top side. Currently, though, if Svenskeren goes up there, it looks like Licorice might be able to get some damage onto the turret and a little bit of control here around the Rift Arrow.
Now, something we haven't talked really much about this game, aside from the very start, is the Kindred stacks. Remember, the goal for Kindred is you really want to hit 4 as quickly as possible so you get the extra range. You're more viable in the team fights. Svenskeren currently stuck at 1 as the fight breaks out. Acadian goes into the stasis. Bjergsen looking to find some follow-up. Acadian gets himself out and into the safety of Tom Kench's belly. Smoothie does it again, and TSM get Acadian out alive.
That was like a slip and slide. He was able to body slam over to the Tom Kench tongue and ride that one out. Safety, no such luck for Sneaky.
Nice pair of snakeskin boots you got there, Bjergsen. That is number 2 going over to TSM's mid laner.
Both teams had already used their defensive cooldown. Svenskeren used the Kindred ultimate on himself when he got slept with the Zoe bubble. Didn't want to get bursted down. Tom Kench had used the Devour already. So in the mid lane, the Cassiopeia was vulnerable, and Sneaky gets caught unawares. He does have flash up right now, and Sven just lands the ultimate on there. They trade ultimates. Instead of flashing it, Sneaky opted to go for the 1v1. If the team there for TSM was not closer to add more damage, I think Sneaky would have won that 1v1 with ultimate trades and just standing there with damage. But it's a team game, Captain Flowers.
Yes, sir.
And there was damage coming from the other side.
Not a 1v1. If he would have landed a single Twin Fang, I'm pretty sure he kills Sven there, at least in trade. However, TSM CC is just too far on point. As you can see, that lethality doing what it does. That's one piercing arrow. Did that to Sven's health bar right now. He's trying to heal himself back up. We're going to see if Bjergsen can find any more poke damage now. Licorice able to yoink Broken Blade back in with the chains. Pop Blossom coming down. Not quite going to find the mark he's looking for in Svenskeren. Trying to get himself back away now. Finding the route down onto Svenskeren. Meanwhile, off the side, it's Sneaky going to be taken low, but Zazel taking Acadian out. As Smoothie tries to get himself away. Zazel very, very hurt. C9 on the retreat now. They've managed to win the fight so far, but their health bars are in a spot where they've got to respect the poke. And Sven nearly finds the kill. Piercing arrow coming out! Oh, the flash away from Licorice.
These fights are actually insane, Flowers.
I love it.
On both fronts here, you have to track the crowd control cooldowns for multiple people as they're just continually firing them out on the side. I hope that we can get some more slow-mo breakdowns on the Analyst S afterwards, because there were 2 fights going on simultaneously there.
We got another one right now as Sneaky sinks his fangs into Broken Blade and finds a free kill, and that is Cloud9, making it 2 Infernal.
Sneaky gets his revenge there. Double Infernal scaling advantage stacking. And though TSM find a big chunk on the Niski here, it is Cloud9 that secure a little bit more for their late game.
And Cloud9 will also even up the turret count here now, grabbing that one in the bottom lane. Niski barely getting himself away, but you can't say the same thing for Zazel. The noble sacrifice support falls for his carry. And that's TSM picking up turret number 2, kill number 3, and applying the pressure onto the T2.
You know, Flowers, we were talking about doing a Team Comp 101 on poke compositions earlier this week. I think we may have found our perfect example.
Is this a good candidate, Professor Colby?
Let's take a look here, because this is the team fight we were talking about, where on the top side, the Zoe and the Nico both throwing out their skill shots with CC, but on the bottom side, you see Acadian running for his life from Sneaky and Zazel, trying to chase him up through the rest of the fight. Then Sneaky gets engaged upon by Acadian, but Acadian has no teammates left around because they were occupied up on the top half of the screen there, trying to fend for themselves. He ends up going down first. And then the poke all starts to come through. Sneaky comes back. Revenge of the Snake. He's able to land the miasma there to slow him down as well, and finds the kill onto Broken Blade, claiming that Nico life.
Nico currently having the Proto Belt that we mentioned earlier, along with 2 sources of spell penetration in the Sork's Shoes and the Oblivion Orb. So plenty of damage coming out from her, but is pretty squishy if she gets caught out. Sleepy Trouble Bubble into the Tri-Brush. Not going to find anybody. Zazel throwing down a control ward there. Doesn't want to step into the barrel. TSM still have themselves about that 2,000 gold lead we talked about earlier, but Cloud9 have done a good job staunching that bleeding, preventing anything from happening to snowball the game further in the favor of TSM. And when you look at the itemization, we talked about how you wanted to see MR on the top side of the map from Cloud9. You got Mercury Treads on all 3, as well as the early Hex Drinker 2 coming in for Svenskeren, who's starting off the dive now onto the TSM players here on the top side. Acadian looking to get himself away, will do it so far. Ooh, Smoothie with the gobble up right in time before the second part of the laser hits.
Yeah, good defensive there, ult there from Acadian to ensure that he survives. They buy time for Broken Blade on the bottom side to take that turret, but Cloud9 should still be able to get the turret on top side. So in the end, it will be a 1-for-1 in turret trades, and it's just a few minions that will get pushed in on mid and bottom secondary.
TSM currently commanding the lead in turrets still, 3-2. Broken Blade wants to make it a 4-2, but Licorice should be here in time.
He just got to that turret, and it's almost dead. Sven coming in
He
now.
does a lot of damage as Finn makes his way into the fight. Now Pop Blossom coming down, the stun goes through, and Licorice barely walking himself away from this one.
Whew. Definitely got to be on your toes for this game because the damage comes out quick. And that turret almost went down as well. This Nico, with all the AP, you know, mages really do provide additional threat for split pushing, because you clear the wave so quickly with your spell, but then your auto attacks actually do so much damage as well to the turret itself now.
And also, I talked about this a little bit earlier in Champion Select when we first saw the Kindred, and I was like, oh yeah, you don't have a front line so far because your jungler is this carry. Well, when Aatrox is also your top laner, that's a fighter. I mean, this guy's not going to be stacking a bunch of tank items. Nobody at any point on Cloud9 is going to start having a Warmogs and shrugging off poke. This Zoe and this Varus are going to be scary till one Nexus explodes.
The only tanky champions in this game are the ones that are standing on Kindred Ultimate.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
Because they won't be able to get executed, or the ones with stopwatch, I guess. Meanwhile, we're taking
really
back to...
tanky. You can't even get hit. What kind of a tank can't get hit? An invisible tank?
Meanwhile, we're checking in our mid lane here with our beautiful stats pop-up. Thank you very much. Niski and Bjergsen going head-to-head so far. Right now, the crab goes down, but both of these teams trying so heavily to control a little bit of vision around this objective because of the importance of all these long-range skill sets that are coming out. You know, this poke composition, when one of the Sleepy Trouble Bubble or the Root lands, somebody has to run for their lives.
And Broken Blade will run away after taking the tier 2 in the bottom side. Not really anything else to push onto down there, but when the game is as close as it is, man, anything can tip the scales heavily to one side or the other if you can get a big prize after a pick. Cloud9 especially having to respect that going up against the Zoe and the Varus, the power of the poke if you walk in blind to this fog of war.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking at TSM to be the ones to create the play as well. The Varus as well as the Gragas have very quick follow-up if either of those skill shots we talked about from the mages does land. Plus, we've even seen them start the fights out themselves. So we'll see if this dragon is going to be the spark, because guess what? It's Infernal Drake number 3.
Oh, baby. If you're TSM, you really, really want to get this one. The difference between a 3-0 or a 1-2 on Infernal Drake's spread is rather large, and TSM makes sure that they don't let things get out of control.
It's a really good point, because the first Drake of each type is worth more than the consecutive one. So TSM getting that single Infernal Drake goes a long way, you know, towards amping up all the damage behind these poke abilities. Everybody's building pure damage on the team, except for Tom Kench. So
both teams is just pure damage. It's a Chad build kind of game, Kobe. Everybody's trying to flex on their opponents, show that they can burst them down faster than they get bursted. And on a poke composition, I mean, having an Infernal Drake could be the difference between somebody limping away with 100 HP or actually being sent back to the spawn platform with a gray screen.
Woo!
Very important.
That paddle star came right next to Sneaky's character model. If that had landed, then I think that the arrow would have finished him off, because the arrow itself did about 40% of his HP.
Yeah, that's one where your life flashes before your eyes a little bit. Sneaky really having to be respectful as a champion who has no way to dash out of any sort of this poke. Positioning is going to be paramount as we proceed further into the mid game towards the late game in these large team fights.
And that's why in Champion Select, when we started to see this poke composition come together, we highlighted the biggest thing that you need against those types of compositions is quick engage. You need hard initiation to get to them before they can soften you up with these low cooldown, long-range abilities they get to throw out here.
Which is honestly what Cloud9 don't have. I mean, you have great counter-engage with the Kindred ultimate, with the Cassiopeia ultimate, with the Galio ultimate, with Victor's Gravity Well, but none of these are things where I can run at you and say, hey, we're fighting now.
And that's the reason the ball is in TSM's court right now. Let's see what they do with it. Bjergsen currently with Zen actually clearing minions in the mid lane. Usually they don't want to double up there. Ghostblade active, he's going for it.
Ghostblade popped, looking at least for a little bit of damage. Nice shot, Sven Scarin. Oh, you're going to be limping after that one, buddy.
Yep, is able to pop the Hex Drinker cooldown as well, so he won't have that one for the next Paddlin.
TSM's just continuing to maintain control over mid right now. They know they've got 4 turrets down. They've taken out everything in the outer ring. Pushing into enemy territory is a little bit scary without setting down proper vision, but most of the vision wars right now are still being placed around that Baron pit. That's the most important thing on the map. And with Sneaky put to sleep, it could be very dangerous here for Cloud9. Acadian gives him a drink and sends him on his way. And TSM's got a big old pick already. Piercing arrow flies out. Zeyzal barely hobbles away. And that's got to be the Baron call for TSM.
Yeah, that's what they're looking for, Flowers. One of those abilities to land, and the poke goes off. Now, Baron is started off. They can't really take it very well, but teleports can't be canceled.
And remember, that means you're going to be drowsy as soon as you show up. Licorice tries to buy some time. Instead, he just gets resurrected immediately. Acadian going to be taken down to half. More damage flying out. Here comes a pop! Shut down over to Broken Blade as TSM will absolutely eviscerate Cloud9. Zeyzal tries to walk away, but I don't think he's going to be walking much further. The root comes out. The arrow goes flying, and Cloud9 has lost 3. TSM goes right back to Baron.
What a clean flank from Broken Blade showing up here on the Nico to trap Cloud9 in. The redemption is going to allow TSM to finish up this Baron. Niski now is the only one that can say anything about it.
Oh, point blank Drowsy going to be cleansed away. Chaos Storm coming in, looking to find some damage onto TSM here in the pit. Acadian doing a good job keeping cool, keeping that secured as Bjergsen goes on a rampage against Niski, and TSM get out clean.
Oh my goodness. TSM get the Baron, no one dies, and they get the exit kill onto Niski after this one. The game just exploded. So right now, you cannot cancel teleports anymore, as everyone well knows. So Licorice knows that he's going to be in an instant 1v4 once he comes in. His ultimate is popped. Then Broken Blade slips right in with the Nico. He's able to get the Kindred ultimate out, gets the snare onto both of them, and it just makes TSM look so incredibly clean here in this game.
Remember what I said 2 or 3 minutes ago about how when the game's on a razor's edge, the smallest thing is going to tip it potentially incredibly to one side? TSM have found that push for themselves. They've now found themselves so firmly in the driver's seat, and Cloud9 will have to play defensively. 5,000 gold down now after that series of plays.
TSM from 2018 to 2019, completely night and day. They were constantly getting criticized for being slow and inactive and not making proactive plays, but this season, they are really taking this one into their own hands. They're playing super offensively oriented laners with strong lanes pretty much across the board to allow Acadian to play aggressively in the jungle, looking for invades early on. And now they're actually able to snowball, and they've stopped making those mistakes that lost them a lot of the early leads.
Svenskeren just lost 80% of his health. Remember, the Drowsy wasn't on him.
Have a nice day.
Here's your root, here's your damage. There goes Sneaky. TSM finds another one for free, as Broken Blade will continue to be that split push threat. Licorice pops out his wings. He's ready to go here. Broken Blade getting himself away off the side. And Svenskeren immediately has to drop the Lamb's Respite because he knows Pop Blossom will one-shot him. They do manage to take down Broken Blade, but at the cost of losing the bottom lane inhibitor turret and inhibitor. Nexus turret's now under pressure as Cloud9 has to get their members back into the base to defend. TSM continues the 4-man assault. It's still going to be a 4v4 even after C9 retreats because of the fact that Sneaky's still dead for another 10 seconds.
Yeah, inhibitor is down. So objective completed. Looks like right now the only thing C9 can get back is a mark. Svenskeren moving into the jungle there. That will be his 4th mark. So it is a decently big mark he just got off of the Raptor pit. But Bjergsen's looking for marks on champions right now. He's taking a peek over the Raptor pit himself for a sleepy trouble bubble.
4 marks at 32 minutes is not where you want to be aiming as the Kindred player, but it's what he's been reduced to this game. And look at the build right now from Sven. It's the 3 fully completed lethality items with the bonus serrated dirt that he's just going to sit on now for a long time until he can complete a full final item, because that extra lethality will still add on. There's a reason these piercing arrows are hitting people for over half their health bar.
Exactly, and at this stage, when you're facing a composition like this, you start to feel helpless when you don't have those snap initiations. Who's going to go in to get a point for Galio to ult on top of. Somebody literally has to use their short dash and flash in to try and get a good AoE Galio ultimate. So TSM just looking so oppressive now, as with the single Infernal Drake powering up the rest of all their flat damage builds. Any sort of skill shot that lands, takes half of C9's health.
And when you look at the flashes on Cloud9, since those are critical for them being able to make an engage happen, none are up except for Zeyzal's, which is about to come up here in a couple of seconds. But over on the side of TSM, you've still got flash on your Acadian, Gragas, so he's able to go in, find those big initiations of his own, and the flashes for Broken Blade and Bjergsen will both be up soon here as well. So we know they both can make plays happen on that. Bjergsen sitting on a 1,000 gold bounty on the Zoe, nearly full build. I'm going to count 10 stack Dark Seal as a full item because you filled all the stack stuff. So 6 items on Bjergsen, scary as all hell.
Turn
You
that
don't
into
want to
a
run into
bedtime.
him.
Do
At
it.
this point, you might as well. The man still hasn't died. If you look at TSM, bottom lane and mid have not died at all.
I'm feeling pretty good about my Bjergsen #1 on the mid lane power ranking in Countdown now, as the Zoe
Yeah, big brain, look at you.
has been a very big influence. Let's see if they can finish it out though, because that is going to always be the critical eye. Do they make a mistake? Are they, going to delay this game? Do they throw something back? 1,000 gold bounty, while it is this kind of badge of, hey, look, I'm crushing this game. If you give it over to Cloud9, remember they still have 2 Infernal Drakes. They still have a bunch of champions that can scale well if you let the game drag on. If you let it go another 15 minutes, they start to fill up more items. Then they can really dish out the DPS as well. And TSM don't have, a lot of anything actually that can soak any of that damage.
Licorice is split pushing in the bottom side right now. You can see Svenskeren hanging out in the bottom side of the TSM jungle between these lanes. Broken Blade is hanging out mid as TSM will put 4 members in the top side, pushing down the tier 2. Baron going to be spawning here in about 30 seconds. TSM control this part of the map. They know they can then immediately rotate back towards Baron, get the vision control around the pit. They've already got it in the northern part of the Cloud9 jungle. Broken Blade will sit bottom, make sure that he stops Licorice from taking anything in terms of turrets. Both top laners will have TP to join in the Baron fight.
All right, with everybody having so much damage, the 2 most important things to have are vision control, range, and speed.
That was 3 things. You said 2.
Well, the 2 most important things are the 2 first ones that I said.
Well, then
the
why'd you
second
say
one,
name the third one? Honorable mention?
that's the less important one.
Okay. All right, sure. The 3 most important. All right, let's go. Let it go. Letting it go. All right back into the game. TSM still has priority over the Baron area. Cloud9 trying to collapse in the mid lane here onto Sven, who gets himself away, popping the Ghost Blade just to make sure. He's got Acadian and Smoothie nearby too, so no real danger here of actually getting bursted down. Acadian pops the smite to make sure he steals away the big chicken, but that means Cloud9 are now the ones with priority over the pit.
Quick edit. We can add one more. Priority over the pit.
Okay.
That sounds like a
Why
good
not?
one. Currently, though, C9 trying to push out the minion waves, because each minion wave you push out buys you 30 seconds here to look for the wards throughout this jungle. They are able to actually route Bjergsen around too. And that comes back to, Predator's actually popped. RTSM looking for it. Bjergsen's so far away, I don't think it would be advisable.
Yeah, it doesn't feel
But they're far out.
Super smart to me to go in without Bjergsen there. Now, when you don't have that big AP carry
Here now.
cannon, but he's made his way into the fight now. Nearly kills Svenskeren, and Sven makes sure of it. No time for Lamb's respite. The piercing arrow finds him in the heart.
You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball, but not an arrow from Sven. Takes down his namesake there. Svenskeren didn't want to have to use the Kindred ultimate, but if you get hit by 2 skill shots, you're dead.
It's over. Like, you have to. It feels terrible, don't get me wrong, but at that point in time, it's that or die, and he chose die. Broken Blade now coming around from the side here, seeing if maybe there's a flank to be found. Sleepy Trouble bubble over the wall, not quite going to hit anyone just yet, but Zeyzal still eats quite a lot from the Paddle Star. TSM say, hey, your jungler's dead, your support's almost dead, Baron's alive. I wonder what we should do, Kobe.
Well, they definitely should set up at the objective, fire off skill shots at anyone who approaches, otherwise, just finish it. Currently, Elder Dragon is a response for Cloud9, but since they had 2 members dead, also they don't have the damage from Kindred, it doesn't seem feasible to rush it.
Well, they are heading towards it now. You can see Sneaky throwing some poison down into the pit.
Gonna try.
It looks like that's the call from Cloud9. They're going for the Elder Drake here now. TSM marching themselves over, 5 men strong. Baron buff ready to go. Bjergsen looking for the Sleepy Trouble. Bubble finds it now down onto Zeyzal. TP also going to be coming in here from Broken Blade. Cloud9 are simply not fast enough to take this down before TSM makes their way in. Chains of Corruption finding their way onto no one into the back line. It's Zeyzal keeping himself away. Sneaky still looking to supply the DPS. And Acadian, the man's a bandit. He stole it away. As now we'll see where the fight goes. Svenskeren grabs the kill down onto him in retaliation. Bjergsen trying to get himself away, but there's the big bounty cash in for Nisqy.
C9 lose the dragon, but they get the kills. 2 members of TSM down now after stealing that Drake, and that buys Cloud9 some time.
Huge paycheck for Nisqy getting that kill onto Bjergsen. Let's take another look here.
All right, so C9, they make the call to rush this dragon down, and look at the health. Acadian's here. It's a pure smite fight. He goes in with the burst damage. He gets stunned up. He still gets off the smite there with only a few health left. Broken Blade then pops over the dragon pit. Svenskeren's going to use the Kindred ultimate to ensure that he survives, but on the top side, Licorice and Nisqy. The AoE combo from those two are able to pick up 2 kills for themselves and delay this Baron push, delay the Elder Dragon buff, and buy themselves a little bit of time for the inhibitor to respawn and a little bit of reset.
TSM's Baron power play actually looks really bad because they gave up a 1,000 gold bounty immediately after grabbing the Baron, so it's down to plus 450. They would like to change that. They still have about 90 seconds to do so, but the only thing left to push, Kobe, is what's in the base.
And what's really big, Cloud9 didn't use flashes to make those plays happen. They used the Elder Dragon, the objective, to draw TSM in, forcing the poke composition to run at them. Then, for the next fight, C9 are going to have all these flash advantages. You see there's none on Bjergsen or Broken Blade or Acadian or Smoothie here. So they're all vulnerable targets.
No piercing. I was half expecting a piercing arrow to come out there and chunk Svenskeren for about 75%, but it did not happen.
You definitely have that feeling if you're in the game as well. You start to get hit by these skill shots, then you're just paranoid. Every time you walk into the jungle, you're close to some fire.
Wait, where is it? Where is it?
Battlestar,
TSM pushing down the bottom side, though. They know that this inhibitor is already exposed. They can force a fight in open ground with no extra objective to help Cloud9 defend. That's the name of the game here. The Miasma thrown down will buy them a couple of extra seconds. Bjergsen needs a little bit of damage as he jumps forward. Sven does a good job there, landing the piercing arrow to pop the Banshee's Veil of Nisqy. But Nisqy is starting to sting. These Death Rays have plenty of punch themselves. You can see Sven losing about 40% of his HP there. Svenskeren going in onto Bjergsen here in the mid lane, who wants to get himself away. But that could be a big kill. Svenskeren instead going to be taken down by Broken Blade. Licorice will slam Bjergsen into the ground in retaliation. Pop Blossom comes down. Licorice goes into the stasis. Broken Blade falls. Cloud9, is this your counterattack? Jen will go down. Shut down good over to Nisqy. And that is 4-4-1.
No flashes for TSM, and Cloud9 find their revenge. They've got an open pathway down mid.
Acadian, the last man standing to try to stop this. It seemed so heavily in favor of TSM, but after they lose a couple of members at the Elder Drake fight, Cloud9 build their momentum, and now that momentum is barreling down the mid lane. There is still 30 seconds on TSM respawn timers. Cloud9 may be looking to even end it here.
C9, double Infernal Drakes, 41 minutes into the game, are on fire, looking for the Nexus turrets after this inhibitor.
You're going to have 10 seconds on Bjergsen. Can he come back up in time to save the day? Acadian has to make some sort of a last-ditch effort to defend. Cloud9 coming back. They're swinging at the Nexus turrets. They've already brought them both down. Acadian's in the ground. It's a comeback story. And Cloud9 take the win.
This game delivered, Captain Flowers.
Holy fuck, good job!
That is what I like to see.
You said you were thinking about making a PokeComp 101 class with Professor Kobe and using this one as the example. This is like acing everything throughout the entire semester, and then you fail the final.
It was so close and so well done from both sides, trying to take the small opportunities that were open to them. Incredible turnaround there from C9 as well. TSM controlled the early game, snowballing very effectively, finding their skill shots, landing their poke damage. But in the end, Cloud9 pull out the fight at the Elder Dragon, burn the flashes, get the bounty, and then with the hard engage, defending their inhibitor turrets, find the run back.
And you can see some reactions there. Svenskeren getting hyped up as Cloud9 manages to finally find their fight. They got on top of Bjergsen, and the lack of flashes was enough to make it so TSM couldn't maintain that distance that they maintained for 35 minutes over their opponents. And the Elder Drake fight was really the tipping point. That's what changed the outcome of this game.
Whew. All right, well, guess what, Captain Flowers? Cloud9 play Team Liquid next week. So after moving up here and taking down TSM, they look to be the ones to challenge the #1 team.
Well, let's go ahead and hear a little bit more about it from someone who experienced it. Avli is standing by to hear more about that comeback win.
Thanks, Flowers. Niski, congratulations on the win against TSM. It was looking a little dark for you guys during the game, so tell me about that comeback. Tell me about the team fight and how you guys were able to take the game.
I mean, I think when Zoe ulted in, I think, she had no flash, and then we legit all scrimmed, just give Zoe and then win the game, and then Dennis just went ham. He put her at 1 HP, and then Licorice just flashed on her, and then that's when we knew that we won the game.
Now, I believe you guys are 4 weeks, no losses, just wins for Cloud9. But Saturday, next Saturday, you guys take on Team Liquid, the team that took the loss off of you guys at the beginning of the split. What is going to make that day different?
I mean, I think we're a better team right now, at least, because I'm feeling more comfortable with the team. And I do believe that against TL in the first week, I played really bad. And I want my revenge against Jensen. So, yeah, we're going to win.
Niski, thank you so much. And you heard it, Jensen. He's coming for you. That's it for us here. Back to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Avli. And after today's match, I am even more excited for Niski v. Jensen rematch from that first game of the split. But in reality, our top 3 teams in the league right now is really starting to heat up that race at the moment.
I mean, this was a good game. I think both teams actually played pretty well to what they drafted towards in terms of one was a poke comp and one was a team fight comp without much engaged. They had to get pretty creative to start winning some fights after they fell behind.
Right. There's a few small blunders from TSM that made them lose the game. Up until that point, they were playing extremely well, getting their poke comp ahead so that they can start poking at objectives. They got 2 Barons and Elder Dragon, and they still lost. And at that point, it's only due to a small few blunders that are easily fixable.
Yeah, and the Nico last pick, I think everyone's hyped about. That
first
came out of nowhere. It's like, whoa, this is surprising into Aatrox, not like what anyone was expecting, but it makes sense in their team comp a little bit because you have a poke comp. Nico does have some extra CC to kind of set up this line pick skill shot type team where if you land a VAR assault, you get the root. If Zoe lands a sleep, you get the root. And so each of them can kind of throw out their fishing tools, and as soon as one lands, you blow that person up. So that was kind of how their comp wanted to work, as well as being, a mage champ in the top lane versus a melee early on to get priority.
That's what I was going to say. Immediate CS lead off the get-go. Of course, Acadian threw some attention to the mid lane to get Bjergsen rolling, and then after Bjergsen's rolling, they transfer some of that pressure to the top lane, and lo and behold, they've got some winning mages and exactly can push their advantage as a poke composition. But hey, we highlighted that mid lane featured matchup, so let's take a look at how they did.
Yeah. Right. Bjergsen, as we said before, he was #1, I believe, at kills and assists at 15 outside of his lane. You saw that game. He pushed in mid after getting that early gank from Acadian, went top and killed top lane. So he's once again moving around to different parts of the
Yeah, he was the whole reason they kind of built that big lead in the early game. He had a huge CSD as well, so he was not only winning his lane, but like we were saying, it's not about diving mid, it's about getting else on the map. And once they had that set up, their team comp was looking pretty good. I mean, C9 did a really good job of making sure they didn't fall out of the neutral objective race, which is how a lot of teams have lost today, is one of the team gets all 5 of the elemental dragons, and then late game breaks down a little bit, and suddenly it's a big factor.
Right, but we did have 2 very stylistically different compositions, and so just kind of set the stage for me with the lead that TSM had, how they should be playing from mid to late game to continue to secure those advantages and ultimately win the game.
Right. At first, I was a bit hesitant about TSM's comp, but as I saw it flesh out, it made more and more sense to me. You come to an objective, they're going to throw 3 different kinds of CC at you. If any single one of them hits, they're going to throw all their damage at you, and someone's going to die. So you saw that at the first Baron where they got sneaky out of the forest. They land some CC on him, and then boom, he just gets blown up. And they keep doing that over and over and over again. You can't really survive that damage. How do you survive the Zoe Q with the Varus Q and a Gragas Q too? It's just so much damage.
Yeah, I mean, they almost get Zazel too through like a spell shield and body blocking and everything. So you can see how potent that comp is when they're ahead because they have the vision control. And because they have the vision control, C9 doesn't know how low they're getting. And so Licorice teleports in way too soon, and they lose track of the Nico. This is a really good job by Broken Blade to go through the mid lane after the minion wave goes through so he can go and get behind them. And so even though, you know, he's going to show up as Gragas on the tail end of this play, he's going behind where C9 wanted to use all their revive passes. Aatrox comes back up, and he's like, okay, I'm going to get the Kindred ult, but now he has to worry about the Nico ult coming in as well. So huge play by Broken Blade there to set up what we were anticipating to be kind of the game-ending fight from here.
Right, and like they did get the Baron off of this play right here. Despite it being really close, actually Sneaky comes in later and almost kills everyone, but they get the Baron, and then that's how you play that poke comp.
Yeah, 4 kills and a Baron from that point onward in a position where they were already ahead. That's where we talk about some of the mistakes coming through for TSM, maybe being discombobulated at moments and allowing C9 a few opportunities to stab their way back into the game.
Yeah, I think they got the bot inhibitor, and you're thinking, all right, great, this is probably over. Next Baron comes up, bot inhibitor pressure means they get it for free, and that's what happened. But as they were getting that, once again, we see the Infernal Drake or Elder Drake trades start coming in, and because they were just on the top side, TSM did not get any vision down around this. So Licorice is actually going to be able to find a huge potential flank up around that blue buff wall as everyone is kind of funneling in through mid lane. They also have Zazel down in the bot lane, so they're trying to mark where he's going to be coming from, but they don't exactly know. And Aatrox is going to hop the wall and basically be the entire reason that they're able to win this team fight, which is the only way they can.
Right. C9 can't really engage a fight without getting a flank. They don't have any good engage. So you need someone to come from behind and start the fight, and that's what Licorice did here. One, I do think is really impressive from C9 to start this Elder Dragon in the first place. I don't think most teams would have done it, and they forced a fight. They're like, we don't care if you're stronger, if you have Baron, whatever. We need to take the fight. We can't give you time to poke us out, and we're just going to make this happen.
Right, but that one good fight alone for C9 was not enough to end the game. In fact, on their own turf, we go to the final team fight. Again, maybe split decisions here from TSM, biting them a bit. But C9, they take their advantage and they follow through.
You can't split up as the poke comp. You have 3 in bot lane, 2 in mid lane. That's just asking to get engaged on because you don't have all your disengage tools there. And so even though they don't have great engage, like Hai was saying, at this point, if you're split up, you can run at them. You don't need a flank if not all your tools are there to disengage. And once they kind of get that fight started, even though Sven doesn't even get his ult out, you get to see how much more powerful C9's team fight comp is.
Right, and up until this point, I believe Bergson had almost a 100% kill participation throughout the entire game. And then this one blunder from him, whether it is that his call to do the split pushing or just him poking when he shouldn't have, caused him to lose the game. Because even at that point, they had 2 Barons under their belt, they had the Elder Dragon during that fight, and they still lost it just because he's out of position, trying to throw stuff at Zoe, and oftentimes you get punished for that. When you do it too often, they're gonna be like, okay, you're annoying me, I'm just gonna run at you and try and kill you. And that's what Sunscared did.
Even in the loss, though, you can see why Bjergsen was voted by many to be top of that mid lane tier list. And of course, why Nisqy is still very much in that discussion. 8-game win streak for Cloud9, though. For me, that's the largest takeaway in all of this. And as Avali mentioned, they play TL in that rematch next Saturday. TL's only lost 1 game, and it's to the TSM squad that C9 just beat. But how are we feeling about C9's prospects against TL? As Nisqy says, he feels like he's warmed into the team in a much better fit now here in week 6.
Well, the first time that they played, the game was relatively close for a lot of it, too. Like, they fell a bit behind because Nisqy made a few blunders, like he said himself in the interview. He did some plays that he wasn't really should have done, and he was a bit nervous. But now he looks a lot more comfortable, and that mid-lane matchup should have almost no disparity between them, unless, like, a level 2 Gragas game comes out again. But despite that, Nisqy still did really well in this game, being put behind, and he still put out good numbers. So moving forward to the Team Liquid game, I'm pretty confident in C9 now. They have an 8-game win streak under their belt, and they're looking really strong.
Don't think I haven't forgotten. Hai, being the incorrect and loser of the weekly wager, must forfeit his phone over to Mark Z for the remainder of the day. Social media accounts to be rated.
First tweet, follow Mark Z on Twitter. That's the first one coming out.
I love it, I love it, I love it. All right, well, we got to step away, but Licorice and Nisqy, they're returning for LCS cooldown later for a Silas 1v1. You can decide what ultimates they'll be using by spamming them in chat. So stay tuned during the break. When we return, it's Team Liquid versus CLG.
I need you on.